Disclaimer, this video is not targeting or attacking any one specific group, person, or ideologies of any one person. I'm making a statement about a certain culture within both American and South Korean culture. This does not express the views of any company, any person, any artist, or anything like that. This is my personal opinion based on research that I've done and a topic that's actually come up recently in Chinese social media that I wanted to talk about and has been very prevalent in South Korean media. So that is my disclaimer. Hi, my name is Lauren and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking about Sasaeng culture in South Korea and how does it affect idols going forward and the fears that they have, and especially in the old idols you now can see it based on like what had happened to them 10 years ago and how is it going to affect your current favorite idols. So if you don't know what Sasaengs are obsessive fans who stalk or engages in behavior that constitutes an invasion of privacy for a Korean idol or any other public figure. So that public figure could be an actor, a dancer, or whatever. That is what a Sasaeng is. So the general age range is between 17 to 22 years of old, and they generally are more female than male, but I know that there are definitely male Sasaengs, but we just normally see the female ones. And then, so the reason that I'm making this video actually is because I saw in a Chinese idol, Wang YiBo. He is part of a group called Unique. He is an actor and he did The Untamed, which is a very popular drama, and he spoke out against the fact that he was essentially being tracked by these fans. So what do Sasaeng fans tend to do and how do they collect this information? They will sell this information on social media. Let's say like, hit me up in the DMs for, so-and-so's phone number from so-and-so's group. I've actually had to end up reporting on my Twitter for people selling private information from various groups concerning the situation. And how do they get this information? So they've essentially created a network, like you do with anything. You create a network to accomplish certain tasks, like where do they live, the location of their dorms, their email addresses, their personal phone numbers. And most of these fans are generally old enough to be working, and so they can work in the entertainment industry and try to get closer and closer to these idols. One of the ways that they get this information is that they have underground taxi services via phone, online or phone, and the purpose is to drive and to stalk these idols from their day-to-day activities. So say you're going out grocery shopping. Do you really want someone monitoring you going grocery shopping? That's essentially what they do. And they often charge hundreds of dollars per hour, and most of these Sasaengs actually employ these services of the underground taxi services. So they actually will pay someone to do it for them, and then they collect information and gather the information. Once again, the reason that I did this is because Wang YiBo made a very, he's one of just many idols who deal with this situation. And, he says, my work is so tiring. I can't just sleep a little bit in the car. My staff is standing in front of your car, and yet you dare drive forward as if like to run them over to get access to him. And that's incredibly dangerous. Wang YiBo also said, for a long time now, I'll have strangers knocking on my hotel room door. Someone even placed a location tracker on his car. And no matter where he goes, there's always someone following. He never has a moment of peace. And, during 2019, there was an incident where Lei Zhang and I believe Jackson Wang also had an incident where two Sasaeng fans published or their family's location on the internet because they were upset at something. And that's a complete invasion of privacy. You can't tell me that's not an invasion of privacy if you're publishing someone's personal like information on the internet. And there have been car accidents from the situation where they're chasing them down in a car, and Super Junior actually was caught in this situation in a 6-car collision, leaving Heatshell and Ituk to be afraid of driving afterwards. And there have been incidents of home intrusion as well, such as Jung Younghwa from CN Blue, Zico from Block B, Junho of 2PM, and Lei of EXO have reported incidents of these stalker fans following them home or to their hotel rooms and attempting to break into these homes. Right? This is not only isolated to male idols, female idols also experience this. As we know, from the last year that female idols are definitely a target of harassment, and they try to keep their information as private as possible, but they're still not, people are still going for this information, and people are willing to buy it. Once you're willing to buy it, people are willing to spend the money to get it. And that's another issue within stalker fan culture in general, not just South Korean, but stalker fan culture in general. And if you also look at, phone calls, you don't like your phone being blown up, like with thousands of messages from people that you don't know. Like, no. So there's been constant calls, once again, on Kakao, how they get this personal information, and they harassed with constant, texts from foreign international fans, inviting them to various groups, or constant calls. They become frustrated with you, and they become not willing to want to interact with you, because it affects the normal fans, essentially. The normal fans being the ones that just like respect their privacy and just like, okay, cool, we're good with what you do. So for example, in 2013, EXO expressed their frustration because the normal fans were now getting mistaken as Sasaeng fans, and these normal fans will just like show up to scheduled events that they do. So if you have access to the fan cafes from these idols, they generally tell you, the official schedule of what is going on, and filming times. Like, they're filming. And then, some people take it to the extreme and go find out the location that they're at. And that is not okay. And so, the legal responses concerning the situation is that in other countries there are anti-stalking laws. And so in South Korea, there was a Minor Offenses Act placed in 2011 for overzealous fans, and that was reviewed in 2013 to impose a minor fine on these fans, and it was about $76 US. And then later on, it was reviewed in 2016 with a penalty of 20 million won, or about 78,000 US dollars, and 2 years of worth of jail time. And I think that's a very important thing to note, is that they are including jail time in this because it's stalking, it is harassment. There's effect on both the idols and these fans that are doing this, or Sasaeng fans. I actually remember a quote from a different idol saying that, she doesn't consider them fans. She considers them stalkers and harassment. It's like there's a fine line between being a Sasaeng fan, a stalker, and just enjoying what they give you. I believe that it's a very fine line to walk, but then, eventually you can cross over into lines like, oh, I wonder where they are at any such time, blah, blah, blah. It's this, but at the same time, if you are saying that you are willing to sell their private information, I think that's when it goes too far, versus just like looking up information about them, about like their general information that you can find on like Wikipedia or whatever. It does stress the idols physically, mentally, and emotionally, because there have been incidences where I'm going to use Heatshell as an example. I remember watching, I believe, a show about him, and and it was like he constantly had the windows closed, and he constantly had the drapes closed as well, because he was fearful of people going to essentially attack him, and constant fears of leaving their homes for being mobbed and not being able to control the situation of what's going around them. They live in this constant fear of these things happening. There was also another incident where an idol wanted to get home and forgot where he lived, and asked Sasaeng to take him home, and she could. And that's absolutely terrifying. Good thing he got home, but absolutely terrifying that this person knew where he lived without second hesitation. It's dangerous, and you are intentionally selling the private information of people that have every right to privacy. We don't own idols, and I think that's something really important to remember as a K-pop fan, or a fan of anyone in general. You don't own these people. They have their private lives and they have a public life. So there's a theory in psychology called front stage self versus backstage self. And, they walk a fine line between front stage self and backstage self. And I think that it's very important to note that, they give you so much. Idols give you so much of their attention, and stuff like that. And then you are going to go take that extra step to invade their privacy. That's going way too far. And, a lot of these Stalker fans, you know, will go homeless or have dropped out of school and continue to pursue these idols because they don't have anything to lose anymore. And that's when, you know, they start to believe that they're doing what's best for the idols, and they're, even though they're putting everyone in danger, they don't care. And the thing is, a lot of idols always tell you to be safe, to be healthy, you know, to stay warm and to eat well and all these things. But, you know, the Sasaengs will continue to pursue them to the point where regardless of the consequences, they're going to continue to do it. And, you know, I think that speaks to a larger fact that we have all this access to them through social media and through all these other things. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like. And if you like to see more content like this every Friday, please hit that subscribe button. And I will see you next time.